Hello there, welcome to Alyssa Jean's Reviews, and welcome to my review of Star Trek Discovery, Season 5, the series finale. Now you might be wondering, but Alyssa, you did a video on episodes 1 through 5. Should this not be your 6 through 10 video? Well, here's the thing about that. If you follow me on Facebook, I have been writing reviews for all of the episodes on my Alyssa Jean's Facebook page. So episodes 6 through 9 already have written reviews for them, and I kind of just don't feel like repeating myself. So I'm going to just really focus on that season slash series finale, which was season 5, episode 10, Life Itself. So I'm going to focus on that, and then at the end of this, I will also give my overall thoughts for the season as a whole. So at the end, this kind of will be my season 2 overall review, but just at the very end. So I'll give my rating out of 10 for the finale, and then I'll give my rating out of 10 for the series of the season as a whole. I'm not in England. They're not called series here in America. They're called seasons. Anyways, so just as a review, in case you didn't see my episode 1 through 5 video or have read any of my reviews on Facebook, the ratings out of 10 that I've given so far, episodes 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 all got 8 out of 10 ratings from me. Episode 4, which was that time travel episode, a 10 out of 10 rating. And now the most recent 3 episodes prior to this week, episodes 7, 8, and 9, all got a 9 out of 10 rating. I was just really impressed by how Discovery kept churning out great episodes and just how good it was in this season. So, going into the finale, I think it would have been really, really hard for them to fuck this up because of how good all the previous episodes were. Though I will say I was hoping that they would knock it out of the park for the finale and have another like 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 type episode, and I don't think they did that. But again, I think it would have been hard for them to really fuck this up. So even though I think it was a little lesser quality than the previous 3 episodes, I still think that overall it is one of the strongest seasons in Modern Trek and easily the strongest season in Discovery. So when looking at this series finale, it is hard for me to not automatically compare it to all of the other Star Trek series finales. There have now been 7 series finales in the Star Trek franchise. We have an 8th coming up later this year. But the 7 so far, we've got TOS, TNG, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, Picard, and now Discovery. So within that 7, I'm not going to give you my entire ranking, but I think Discovery easily slides into that number 3 slot, and I think it kind of secured that number 3 slot a couple weeks ago, if not a few weeks ago, because I don't think it was ever going to top DS9 or TNG for their finales, because DS9 and TNG had the unfair advantage over Discovery in that they knew way in advance that their seasons were ending, and they had plenty of time to plot their finale and plan it out and figure out how they wanted to end the show. Whereas Discovery, when they originally filmed the season 5 finale, they didn't know what would be the series finale, so they had to make it into the series finale. So DS9 and TNG just automatically have an unfair advantage. So it was never going to be better than those. And the way the season was going the last few weeks, I think it was inevitable that the finale was going to be better than TOS, Voyager, Enterprise, and Picard. I think that was inevitable. Not that all of those are bad. TOS is definitely bad. Enterprise is bad, but I do cut it a lot of slack because they had to throw together a finale at the last second and maybe they fucked it up. But I don't quite hate it on it as much as other people do. Voyager, I think, is a little mediocre. I know my brother really, really hates it. He's famous for hating the Voyager finale. Don't love it either. I don't hate it as much as he does, but it's not that amazing. And then the Picard finale, there are aspects of it that I like. I like that they revisited the poker game. But the whole Borg thing, So the Picard finale is no, it's not terrible, but so I think Discovery's finale was always going to be better than those four, or at least for the last few weeks. I could tell it was going to be better, and it was never going to be better than DS9 or TNG. So it was kind of secured at that number 3 slot. We'll see where Lower Decks falls in. I have hopes Lower Decks will top Discovery's finale, but we'll see. Anyways, so there were things that bothered me about this finale, and I think that a lot of the things that bothered me are the same as what I've seen have bothered other people, and some are different. But I think a lot of things that bothered me was because maybe I was a victim of my own expectations. I was expecting certain things to happen or things to go a certain way, and then when they didn't, I felt disappointed. So that has a lot to do with it. But there's other things I just think they could have done better. But there are many things that I thought they did really, really, really well. And overall, I did think it was a strong way to end the season and the series, especially given that, they didn't originally know that this was going to be the series finale, so they kind of had to tack on that little ending there to make it into a series finale. Given all that, I think they did an excellent job, but there were still things that bugged me. So let me kind of go through this a little bit. So we start off with Burnham inside of the portal thingy, and the visuals are stunning, and I think that's one of Discovery's strengths in general. I think the visuals are almost always stunning in Discovery, but inside of this, whatever you call that thing, the Progenitors Tech portal thingy, I think the visuals were stunning. Not just that lobby hallway that Burnham was in, but anytime she would go into the world. Remember when Maul and Burnham were fighting in that flower world? There was all these pink flowers, the vivid colors, and then they go from one to the next, and visuals were amazing. Absolutely. But I think that's often the case in Discovery. That's never really been much of an issue for Discovery, even when the plot isn't as great. I think the visuals are always on point. So yeah, that was good. Then Burnham does the triangle thing. I'm going to complain about the triangles like other people have. Because we had this whole thing about the many, or the one being in between the many, or the one and the many, something, something. And I heard a theory that, this is just like in the Chase, where you had to have all these different species come together and put different parts of the clues together in order to get that message from the progenitors. Same thing here. You're going to have different species cooperating. And I thought that would have been really interesting. I loved that theory. But no, it's just some stupid thing about putting triangles. No, you don't put the triangles in a pyramid together. You put the triangles, so the one triangle's in the middle and the other triangle's on the outside. Like that's so childish and so lame. I guess when comparing it to fan theories, sometimes the fan theories are better than what they do, and this is an example of that. I think the fan theory that it was going along with the chase. And having it so different species had to cooperate in order to get the answer made so much more sense. It was so much better than this silly triangle puzzle thing. That was just very childish. So that was disappointing. Not disappointing though, Burnham's encounter with the progenitor. I honestly didn't think we would get a progenitor on screen. I kind of hoped we would, but I was like, I don't know if they're gonna do that. Um, the look of her was amazing, very similar to the makeup of the Next Generation. Um, I guess the actress who originally did the progenitor, who's also the one who did the female changeling, I guess she's like in her 90s now. So she couldn't do it. So they got a different actress, but totally fine. I think it's good to show that there's more than one progenitor in existence. Like there isn't just one. Um, but that whole conversation was fabulous. I love Michael Burnham bringing in the infinite combinations and infinite diversity, or infinite diversity in infinite combinations. Classic Star Trek thing. I love it when they just tie it into like just classic Trek themes. Um, and I love that Burnham ultimately came to the conclusion that this is like we're not ready for this. This is too much for us. We're gonna let this one slide. um, and I do like all that, and I really do like the reveal that the progenitors weren't even the ones who invented this technology. Someone else did even before them. So this just goes back gazillions and zillions of years, and it goes even further back to where not even the progenitors know who the real progenitors are. I thought that was a nice touch. I thought there was a lot of beauty in these scenes. So almost makes up for the triangle silliness that led into it. Okay, now I want to sidetrack here for a minute to the Saru scenes. First of all, I should say that I loved how Saru was a badass, people calling him Action Saru, and I loved his interactions with the Primarch, what was her name? Tall or something? Whatever her name was. I love that he like dominated her and like I'm a predator and all of those things. But here's where I'm a victim of my expectations. I was really expecting that Raynor was going to have a confrontation with whatever her name is, Tall, because they set up the fact that she destroyed his homeworld. And so it really seemed like a Chekhov's gun situation that the gun didn't go off. Like it really felt like the logical way that it was going, that Raynor would have a big confrontation with Tall, and I think that would have been the climax. Kind of the B plot to what Burnham was doing was Raynor and Discovery fighting up against this big bad, and Tall, and it's the one who killed his family or destroyed his planet or whatever it was. That would have been really good. Instead, I thought that the action sequences that we did get were like I thought they were kind of lame. I'm gonna be honest with you. Just a lot of shaky cam. Keep your camera still. God damn it. And then the big climax was they were being chased by a whole bunch of those little ships, and they did a thing where they shot a thing and made this wave of a thing hit all the ships at once, and you could barely even see it, and it was just very anticlimactic. I thought that we needed that confrontation between Raynor and I'm just gonna call her Toll. I think I'm not sure if that's her name, but the other the female Primarch, the one who destroyed his planet. I thought that's what we were getting. Let me readjust my camera. um, but yeah, so it was kind of, and I thought there was going to be more to the Saru scenes. Like I thought it was going to be more challenging for him. Like it was a little too easy. I not that I would take away Saru being a badass, but I would say that that's not the end of it. Like it's not that easy. That maybe it works for a little while, and then Maul's the other one, whatever her name is, like later figures out that she's been deceived and then goes to where Discovery is, and she's just on the verge of finding out about the progenitor's tech, but just at the nick of time, they're able to prevent her from finding out about the progenitor's tech. And maybe they send her off to the galactic barrier, and that's the resolution instead of that other ship, or maybe both of them. But that would have been better. And I think that's what my expectations were around that area. So it just felt really disappointing that that's not what they did. Also, when the hell did the Discovery get the ability to separate the saucer section? Have we ever seen this before? I don't recall that this has ever been a thing. It just seems like they threw it in there out of nowhere. So that was a little jarring to me, quite honestly. I'm like, wait, is it broken? They don't have a saucer section. When has Discovery ever had a saucer section that separates like that? That's never been a thing. So that was jarring to me. So yeah, I think that the B and C plot were, So I honestly think that the coda that they slap on at the end is probably the best part of the episode. It's probably what makes it still be a strong finale. But before I get to that, I do want to talk about the wedding, and this is another case of me being a victim of my expectations. Was expecting a big, beautiful, long wedding scene. It doesn't have to be too long or drawn out. I don't want it to be like Ariam's funeral or whatever, but I think that Saru and Tarina's relationship deserve at least Ariam's funeral. Like, I mean, there's more build up to it. I wanted it to be beautiful. I wanted it to be... I wanted the hugging scene that they slapped in at the end of the coda to be at the wedding, and I think it was like logistics. Like a lot of those actors couldn't be there for the wedding scene, but they could be there for the coda scene. So that's probably why that was. But I did want that to be at the wedding, and I wanted the wedding to be more glorious and grand and beautiful. I wanted Tarina's wedding dress to be way better than what it was, and Sean Ferrick over on Trek Culture gave a down to Tarina's haircut, and once I saw that picture when he pointed that out, also giving that a down. Like that's your fucking haircut to a wedding. I know she's a Vulcan, but really that's your hairdo. Do Vulcans not have better hairstylists than that? And her dress was lame. Like, I'm sorry, it's a big wedding. I wanted it to be huge and grand and wonderful and glorious, and I wanted the scenes to be longer and more to it. So, victim of my own expectation. Not that I would take away the Burnham and Book scene on the beach. I would keep that. I would just make the wedding more. The Burnham and Book scene, fabulous. I have always been a fan of this relationship. I think that the actors have so much chemistry, so the characters have so much chemistry, and it always felt real. Like it wasn't just this, fantasy love story like the original series like to do. It was actual real relationship stuff, and you could feel it. Like you could feel the real relationship between the two of them. I've always loved it. So the beach scene, fantastic. And then to have it all tied up with that coda. No time travel shenanigans. Let's just show Burnham and the future. Oh, before I get to that though, I do have to point out the Kovich is Daniels thing. And yeah, it really felt like that other show? There's another show you watch and there's another character, we're going to put that character in this. He's not Daniels. That makes no sense at all. He's 100% not Daniels. They threw that in there for an, elbow to the fans, and it just makes no sense at all. Like, I almost want to just pretend that they didn't say that line because it makes no sense. He is definitely not Daniels. So, yeah, wasn't a huge fan of that. Now we get into the coda. Uh, Admiral Burnham. First of all, the old person makeup. I bought it. Like it almost thought like Sonequa Martin Green actually age and then de-age again because it was really good. Maybe Books wasn't as good, but Burnham's was great. Um, I didn't get the whole like putting the wax in the coffee thing. That was weird. I didn't understand what was happening with that, but I'll just let that go. But I love that they showed their son and that I love the things that Burnham was saying, like calling back to her encounter with the progenitors, but of course it's a red directive, so she can't really say specifics. um, but yeah, all the things that she was talking to her son. You could cut her son out of it and just show Burnham. You just show that scene, and those are great speeches in Star Trek history. Yeah, it's just fantastic. All of that was fantastic. Now we get the Calypso thing. Now, are you complaining about the Calypso thing, how it doesn't line up, how it doesn't make sense? If you are, ask yourself, are you one of the people who really, really wanted or had to have a tie into Calypso, and like if they didn't tie it up, then they failed. I can't believe they didn't do it. You're contradicting yourself if so, because that was the only possible way they could have gone back to Calypso, because they've already changed course from what they originally planned for the Calypso. From what I understand, their original thinking was instead of the entire ship going into the future, it would just be the crew that goes into the future, and Zorro would be sitting around waiting for them to appear, and that's where Calypso is taking place. So they went a different direction, so it no longer applies anymore. So they had to make something else up in order to fit in, to tie into it. It doesn't quite fit. It's definitely a retcon. But if you really, really, really wanted the Calypso, then that's what you wanted, because that's the only way they could have done it. So you're contradicting yourself if you really, really had to have the Calypso tie-in, and yet you're complaining about how it was retconned and how it didn't fit. It was never going to fit because they already changed their mind of, of what that originally was supposed to be. So there you have it. So for me, I'm like, cool. I can kind of take it or leave it. Honestly, if they didn't tie in with Calypso, I'd be like, yeah, that ship had probably sailed. But if they did and they had to retcon it, that's fine too. I'm not upset about it. But yeah, ending with old Burnham saying "Let's fly." I mean, how else are you gonna end it? Yeah, it was pretty great. The ending, I gotta say. So even though the finale overall was far from flawless, I feel like I've been complaining for most of this video, but how they tied it all together, especially given that they didn't originally know that this was going to be the series finale and they had to tack that thing on at the end, I think it worked beautifully. So my overall rating for this episode, Life Itself, which is the series finale of Star Trek Discovery, my overall rating out of 10 is an 8. As I said, not quite as good as the previous 3. There's way too many flaws for it to be higher than an 8. But fantastic ending, fantastic way to tie up the series. So still pretty strong episode. Now, getting into my overall rating for the season. Reminder again, episodes 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 all received an 8 out of 10 rating from me. Episode 4 had a 10 out of 10 rating. Episodes 7, 8, and 9 had a 9 out of 10 rating. And now, as you know, episode 10 in there with episodes 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 with an 8 out of 10 rating. So what this means is This is a season of Star Trek where I gave no rating lower than an 8 out of 10. I don't think this ever happened before, ever. Now you can't really compare it to the 90s shows or the original series because they were doing 25 episodes, so it was impossible for all of those to have an 8 or higher. But comparing it to the 10 episode seasons of Modern Trek, I have stated many times that Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks are my two favorites. I kind of go back and forth as to which is my favorite in Modern Trek. But I have never given any season of Lower Decks or Strange New Worlds all 8s or higher for the whole season. Not even close. Lower Decks, I've given some 2s and 3s. Even though, like, I still think it's overall one of my favorite series of Star Trek. It's had some stinkers. Discovery Season 5, an 8 or higher. This is unprecedented in Star Trek. So I have to give my rating out of 10 for Star Trek Discovery Season 5 has to be a 9 because no other season of Star Trek has ever accomplished this, getting an 8 out of 10 for me or higher for every episode. So has to be a 9. Not quite a 10. If the finale had knocked it out of the park and was a 10 finale, I think that I could have given this season a 10. But didn't do that. So it's a 9. I'm keeping a running tally of the shows I watch and ranking them. The only other 9 that I've given of the shows that I've watched so far is from X-Men 97, which is also fantastic. So I've decided which one I'm going to rank as number 1. still got to figure that out. I don't know. But there's plenty more shows coming this year, so both of those will probably be dethroned at some point anyway. We've got House of Dragon coming up soon. Speaking of that, I do plan to do a House of Dragon predictions video, hopefully before House of the Dragon airs. I might have another Discovery video coming, but I don't want to make promises. Stay tuned to my Facebook channel, or my Facebook page and my YouTube channel for more info. We'll see. One thing that I can promise is that you can find me over on Enchantment of Eternity every Monday in the month of June. Because on Monday the 3rd, we are going to do our Discovery Season 5 discussion. The following week marks number 10, I believe, in his top 25. We're going to have that discussion. And then after that, House of the Dragon discussions every Monday. So I will be over on Enchantment of Eternity every Monday in the month of June. So go look for me over there as well. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not already, and I will see you all in the month of June. Goodbye.